Om Namo Bhagavate. Welcome to chapter 6 from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila chapter 6. We'll be beginning chapter 6 today. The Glories of Sri Advaitacharya. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. The truth of Advaita Acharya has been described in two verses. It is said that material nature has two features, namely the material cause and the efficient cause. The efficient causal activities are caused by Mahavishnu, and the material causal activities are caused by another form of Mahavishnu known as Advaita. That Advaita, the superintendent of the cosmic manifestation, has descended in the form of Advaita Acharya to associate with Lord Chaitanya. When he is addressed as the servitor of Lord Chaitanya, his glories are magnified, because unless one is invigorated by this mentality of servitorship, one cannot understand the mellows derived from devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. Verse 1. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaitacharya, whose activities are all wonderful. By his mercy, even a foolish person can describe his characteristics. Verse 2. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaitacharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the Panchtattva mantra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And the first verse was for the pranam mantra of Advaitacharya. Vande tam Srimad Advaitacharyam Adbhuta Cheshtitam Yasya Prasadad Ajno Api Tats Swarupam Nirupayet. Verse 3. Panch shloke kahila Shri Nityananda Tattva Shlokya Dvaya Kahi Advaitacharyera Mahatva. In 5 verses, I have described the principle of Lord Nityananda. Then in the following 2 verses, I describe the glories of Sri Advaitacharya. Verse 4. Lord Advaitacharya is the incarnation of Mahavishnu, whose main function is to create the cosmic world through the actions of Maya. Verse 5. Because he is not different from Hari, the Supreme Lord, he is called Advaita, and because he propagates the cult of devotion, he is called Acharya. He is the Lord and the incarnation of the Lord's devotee, therefore I take shelter of him. Verse 6. Sri Advaitacharya is indeed directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. His glory is beyond the conception of ordinary living beings. Verse 7. Mahavishnu performs all the functions for the creation of the universes. Sri Advaitacharya is his direct incarnation. Verse 8. The Purusha creates and maintains with his external energy. He creates innumerable universes in his pastimes. Verse 9. By his will he manifests himself in unlimited forms, in which he enters each and every universe. Verse 10. Sri Advaitacharya is a plenary part of that Purusha, and so not different from him. Indeed, Sri Advaitacharya is not separate, but is another form of that Purusha. Verse 11. He, Advaitacharya, helps in the pastimes of the Purusha, with whose material energy and by whose will he creates innumerable universes. Verse 12. Being a reservoir of all auspicious attributes, Sri Advaitacharya is all auspicious for the world. His characteristics, activities, and name are always auspicious. Purport. Sri Advaitacharya, who is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, is an Acharya or teacher. All his activities and all other activities of Vishnu are auspicious. Anyone who can view the all auspiciousness in the pastimes of Lord Vishnu also becomes auspicious simultaneously. Therefore, since Lord Vishnu is the fountainhead of auspiciousness, anyone who is attracted by the devotional service of Lord Vishnu can render the greatest service to human society. Rejected persons of the material world who refuse to understand pure devotional service as the eternal function of the living entities and as actual liberation of the living being from conditioned life become bereft of all devotional service because of their poor fund of knowledge. In the teachings of Advaita Prabhu, there is no question of fruitive activities or impersonal liberation. Bewildered by the spell of the material energy, however, persons who could not understand that Advaita Prabhu is not different from Vishnu want to follow him with their impersonal conceptions. The attempt of Advaita Prabhu to punish them is also auspicious. Lord Vishnu and his activities can bestow all good fortune, directly and indirectly. In other words, being favored by Lord Vishnu and being punished by Lord Vishnu are one and the same, because all the activities of Vishnu are absolute. According to some, Mangala was another name of Advaita Prabhu as the causal incarnation or Lord Vishnu's incarnation. For a particular occasion, he is the supply agent or ingredient in material nature. However, he is never to be considered material. All his activities are spiritual. Anyone who hears about and glorifies him becomes glorified himself. For such activities free one from all kinds of misfortune. One should not invest any material contamination or impersonalism in the Vishnu form. Everyone should try to understand the real identity of Lord Vishnu, for by such knowledge one can attain the highest stage of perfection. Verse 13, Mahavishnu creates the entire material world with millions of his parts, energies and incarnations. Verses 14 and 15. Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause Nimitta and the material cause Upadan, Maya being the efficient cause and Pradhan the material cause. So Maya is the efficient cause, which is Nimitta, and Pradhan is the material cause, which is Upadan. So Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world with the efficient and material causes. Purport: there are two kinds of research to find the original cause of creation. One conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-blissful, eternal, all-knowing form, is indirectly the cause of the cosmic manifestation and directly the cause of the spiritual world, where there are innumerable spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, as well as his personal abode known as Golok Vrindavan. In other words, there are two manifestations, the material cosmos and the spiritual world. As in the material world there are innumerable planets and universes, so in the spiritual world there are also innumerable spiritual planets and universes, including the Vaikunthas and Goloka. The Supreme Lord is the cause of both the material and spiritual worlds. The other conclusion, of course, is that the cosmic manifestation is caused by an inexplicable, unmanifested void. This argument is meaningless. The first conclusion is accepted by the Vedanta philosophers, and the second is supported by the atheistic philosophical system of the Sankhya Smriti, which directly opposes the Vedantic philosophical conclusion. Material scientists cannot see any cognizant spiritual substance that might be the cause of the creation. Such atheistic Sankhya philosophers think that the symptoms of knowledge and living force visible in the innumerable living creatures are caused by the three qualities of cosmic manifestation. Therefore, the Sankhyites are against the conclusion of Vedanta regarding the original cause of creation. Factually, the Supreme Absolute Spirit Soul is the cause of every kind of manifestation, and he is always complete, both as the energy and the energetic. The cosmic manifestation is caused by the energy of the Supreme Absolute Person, in whom all energies are conserved. Philosophers who are subjectively engaged in the cosmic manifestation can appreciate only the wonderful energies of matter. Such philosophers accept the conception of God only as product of the material energy. According to their conclusions, the source of the energy is also a product of the energy. Such philosophers wrongly observe that the living creatures within the cosmic manifestation are caused by the material energy, and they think that the Supreme Absolute Conscious Being must similarly be a product of the material energy. Since materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engaged with their imperfect senses, naturally they conclude that the living force is a product of material combination. But the actual fact is just opposite. Matter is a product of spirit. According to Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Spirit, the personality of Godhead, is the source of all energies. When one advances in research work by studying a limited substance within the limits of space and time, one is amazed by the various wonderful cosmic manifestations, and naturally one goes on hypnotically accepting the path of the research work or the inductive method. Through the deductive way of understanding, however, one accepts the Supreme Absolute Person, the personality of Godhead, as the cause of all causes, who is full with diverse energies and who is neither impersonal nor void. The impersonal manifestation of the Supreme Person is another display of his energy. Therefore, the conclusion that matter is the original cause of creation is completely different from the real truth. The material manifestation is caused by the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is inconceivably potent. Material nature is electrified by the Supreme Authority, and the conditioned soul within the limits of time and space is trapped by awe of the material manifestation. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually realized in the vision of material philosopher and scientist through the manifestation of his material energy. For one who does not understand the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his diverse energies, because of not knowing the relationship between the source of the energies and the energies themselves, there is always a chance of error, which is known as vivarta. As long as the materialistic scientists and philosophers do not come to the right conclusions, certainly they will hover over the material field, bereft of proper understanding of the absolute truth. The great Vaishnava philosopher Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has very nicely explained the materialistic conclusion in his Govind Bhashya, a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. He writes as follows: the Sankhya philosopher Kapila has connected the different elementary truths according to his own opinion. Material nature, according to him, consists of the equilibrium of the three material qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Material nature produces the material energy known as Mahat, and Mahat produces the false ego. The ego produces the 5 objects of sense perception, which produce the 10 senses, 5 for acquiring knowledge and 5 for working, the mind, and the 5 gross elements. Counting the Purusha or the enjoyer with these 24 elements, there are 25 different truths. The non-manifested stage of these 25 elementary truths is called Prakriti or material nature. The qualities of material nature can associate in 3 different stages, namely as the cause of happiness, the cause of distress, and the cause of illusion. The quality of goodness is the cause of material happiness, and the quality of passion is the cause of material distress, and the quality of ignorance is the cause of illusion. Our material experience lies within the boundaries of these 3 manifestations of happiness, distress, and illusion. For example, a beautiful woman is certainly a cause of material happiness for one who possesses her as a wife, but the same beautiful woman is a cause of distress to a man whom she rejects, or who is the cause of her anger. And if she leaves a man, she becomes the cause of illusion. The 2 kinds of senses are the 10 external senses and the 1 internal sense, the mind. Thus, there are 11 senses according to Kapila. Material nature is eternal and all-powerful. Originally, there is no spirit and matter has no cause. Matter itself is the chief cause of everything. It is the all-pervading cause of all causes. The Sankhya philosophy regards the total energy Mahat Tattva, the false ego, and the 5 objects of sense perception as the 7 diverse manifestations of material nature, which has 2 features known as the material cause and the efficient cause. I'll repeat: the Sankhya philosophy regards the total energy Mahat Tattva, the false ego, and the 5 objects of sense perception as the 7 diverse manifestations of material nature, which has 2 features known as the material cause and the efficient cause. The Purusha, the enjoyer, is without transformation, which is Supreme Personality of God Himself, whereas material nature is always subject to transformation. But although material nature is inert, it is the cause of enjoyment and salvation for many living creatures. Its activities are beyond the conception of sense perception, but still one may guess at them by superior intelligence. Material nature is one, but because of the interaction of the 3 qualities, it can produce the total energy and the wonderful cosmic manifestation. Such transformations divide material nature into 2 features, namely the efficient and material causes. The Purusha, the enjoyer, is inactive and without material qualities. Although at the same time he is the master, existing separately in each and every body as the emblem of knowledge, which we know as Paramatma, or the super soul which is residing in the heart, that form of Lord. By understanding the material cause, one can guess that the Purusha, the enjoyer, being without activity, is aloof from all kinds of enjoyment or superintendence. Sankhya philosophy, after describing the nature of Prakriti, which is material nature, and Purusha, which is enjoyer, the Supreme Lord, asserts that the creation is only a product of their unification or proximity to one another. With such unification, the living symptoms are visible in material nature, but one can guess that in the person of the enjoyer, the Purusha, I've lost it. Oh, yes. The Purusha asserts that the creation is only the byproduct of their unification or proximity to the one and another. With the unification, the living symptoms are visible in material nature, but one can guess that in the person of the enjoyer, the Purusha, there are powers of control and enjoyment. When the Purusha is illusion for want of sufficient knowledge, he feels himself to be the enjoyer, and when he is in full knowledge, he is liberated. In Sankhya philosophy, the Purusha is described to be always indifferent to the activities of Prakriti. The Sankhya philosopher accepts three kinds of evidences, namely direct perception, hypothesis, and traditional authority. When such evidence is complete, everything is perfect. The process of comparison is within such perfection. Beyond such evidence, there is no proof. There is not much controversy regarding direct perceptional evidence or authorized traditional evidence. The Sankhya system of philosophy identifies three kinds of procedures, namely Parinamat, which is transformation, Samanvayat, which is adjustment, and Shaktitaha, which is performance of energies as the cause of the cosmic manifestation. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, in his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, has tried to nullify this conclusion because he thinks that discrediting these so-called causes of the cosmic manifestation will nullify the entire Sankhya philosophy. Materialistic philosophers accept matter to be the material and efficient cause of creation. For them, matter is the cause of every type of manifestation. Generally, they give up the example of a water pot and clay. Clay is the cause of the water pot, but the clay can be found as both cause and effect. The water pot is the effect and the clay itself is the cause, but clay is visible everywhere. A tree is matter, but a tree produces fruit. Water is matter, but water flows. In this way, say the Sankhyites, matter is the cause of movements and production. As such, matter can be considered the material and efficient cause of everything in the cosmic manifestation. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has therefore enunciated the nature of Pradhan as follows. Material nature is inert, and as such it cannot be cause of matter, neither as the material nor as the efficient cause. Seeing the wonderful arrangement and management of the cosmic manifestation generally suggests that a living brain is behind this arrangement. For without a living brain, such an arrangement could not exist. One should not imagine that such an arrangement can exist without conscious direction. In our practical experience, we never see that the inert bricks can themselves construct a big building. The example of the water pot cannot be accepted because a water pot has no perception of pleasures and distress. Such perception is within. Therefore, the covering body or the water pot cannot be synchronized with it. Sometimes the material scientists suggest that trees grow from the earth automatically without assistance from a gardener because that is a tendency of matter. They also consider the intuition of living creatures from birth to be material. But such material tendency as a bodily intuition cannot be accepted as independent, for they suggest the existence of a spirit soul within the body. Actually, neither the tree nor any other body of a living creature has any tendency or intuition. The tendency and intuition exist because the soul is present within the body. I will repeat. Actually, neither a tree nor any other body of a living creature has any tendency or intuition. The tendency and intuition exist because the soul is present within the body. In this connection, the example of a car and driver may be given very profitably. The car has a tendency to turn right and left, but one cannot say that the car itself, as matter, turns right and left without the direction of a driver. A material car has neither tendencies nor intuitions independent of the intentions of the driver within the car. The same principle applies for the automatic growth of trees in the forest. The growth takes place because of the soul's presence within the tree. Sometimes foolish people take it for granted that because scorpions are born from heaps of rice, the rice has produced the scorpions. The real fact, however, is that the mother scorpion lays eggs within the rice, and by the proper fermentation of the rice, the eggs give birth to several baby scorpions, which in due course come out. This does not mean that the rice gives birth to the scorpions. Similarly, sometimes bugs are seen to come from dirty beds. This does not mean, however, that the beds give birth to the bugs. It is the living soul that comes forth, taking advantage of the dirty condition of the bed. There are different kinds of living creatures. Some of them come from embryos, some from eggs, and some from the fermentation of perspiration. Different living creatures have different sources of appearance, but one should not conclude that matter produces such living creatures. This purport is a bit long, but it is very interesting, so I don't want to give a pause. I will continue. The example cited by the materialist that trees automatically come from the earth follows the same principle. Taking advantage of a certain condition, a living entity comes from the earth. According to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, every living being is forced by divine superintendence to take a certain type of body according to his past deeds. There are many varieties of bodies, and because of a divine arrangement, a living entity takes bodies of different shapes. When a person thinks, I am doing this, the I am does not refer to the body. It refers to something more than the body or within the body. As such, the body as it is has neither tendencies nor intuition. The tendencies and intuition belong to the soul within the body. Material scientists sometimes suggest that the tendencies of male and female bodies cause their union and that this is the cause of the birth of the child. But since the Purusha, according to the Sankhya philosophy, is always unaffected, where does the tendency to give birth come from? Sometimes material scientists give the example that milk turns into curd automatically and that distilled water pouring from the clouds falls to the earth, produces different kinds of trees and enters different kinds of flowers and fruits with different fragrances and tastes. Therefore, the same matter produces varieties of material things on its own. In reply to this argument, the same proposition of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad that different kinds of living creatures are put into different kinds of bodies by the management of a superior power is repeated under superior superintendence. Various souls, according to their past activities, are given the chance to take particular type of body, such as that of a tree, animal, bird or beast, and thus the different tendencies develop under these circumstances. The Bhagavad Gita 13 chapter 22 verse also further affirms Purushaha prakriti-stho hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. The soul is given different types of bodies. For example, were souls not given varieties of tree bodies, the different varieties of fruits and flowers could not be produced. Each class of tree produces a particular kind of fruit and flower. It is not that there is no distinction between the different classes. An individual tree does not produce flowers of different colors or fruits of different taste. There are demarcated classes as we find them among humans, animals, birds, and other species. There are innumerable living entities and their activities performed in the material world according to the different qualities of the material modes of nature. As we know, there are three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Like we were reading yesterday, ignorance signifies the past Anybody who is always engrossed in the past tense is living in the mode of ignorance, tamasgun. And in the second one, which is mode of passion, anybody who is always worried for the future is living in the mode of passion, is always doing go, 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 go. Yeah. And the one who is in goodness is in present. So there are three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance, which is sattva, rajas, and tamas. Thus one should understand that pradhan matter cannot act unless impelled by a living creature. The materialistic theory that the matter independently acts cannot therefore be accepted. Matter is called prakriti, which refers to female energy. The woman is prakriti, a female. A female cannot produce a child without the association of a purusha, a man. The purusha causes the birth of a child because the man injects the soul, which is sheltered in the semen, into the womb of the woman. The woman, as the material cause, supplies the body of the soul, and as the efficient cause, she gives birth to the child. But although the woman appears to be the material and efficient cause of the birth of a child, originally the purusha, the male, is the cause of the child. Similarly, this material world gives rise to varieties of manifestations due to the entrance of Garbhodakshay Vishnu within the universe. He is present not only within the universe but within the bodies of all living creatures. We know that Garbhodakshay Vishnu is Mahavishnu is Garbhodakshay Vishnu is when he breathes in and out, then lots of universes are produced. Then Garbhodakshay Vishnu, then Mahavishnu as Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters into all those universes which are being produced by the breathing in and out of the Mahavishnu. And when the universes are produced, afterwards the creatures, the living creatures, they take place. Kshirodakshay Vishnu form comes out from the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and that goes into each and every living entity as a super soul or the Paramatma, which resides in our heart side by side with our souls. He is not only present within the universe but within the bodies of all creatures as well as within the atom. We understand from the Brahma Samhita that the super soul is present within the universe, within the atom, and within the heart of every living creature. So these are the three localized forms of Vishnu. Mahavishnu, everything coming from Krishna. Krishna is the supreme. We have to remember that. So these are all the plenary portions of Krishna, because he is supreme. He is in his abode. He has given the task to different plenary portions who incarnate to fulfill the duties. Therefore, the theory that matter is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation cannot be accepted by any man with sufficient knowledge of matter and spirit. Materialists sometimes give the argument that as a straw eaten by the cow produces milk automatically, so material nature under different circumstances produces varieties of manifestations. Thus, originally matter is the cause. In refuting this argument, we may say that an animal of the same species as the cow, namely the bull, also eats straw, like the cow, but does not produce milk. Under the circumstances, it cannot be said that straw in connection with the particular species produces milk. The conclusion should be that there is superior management, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 10, where the Lord says, Maya dhakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti. That is being said to Arjuna, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. Char, Acharya. Char are the moving and Acharya are the unmoving. The Supreme Lord says, Maya dhakshena, under my superintendence. When he desires that the cow produce milk by eating straw, there is milk. And when he does not desire it, the mixture of such straw cannot produce milk. If the way of material nature had been that straw produced milk, a stack of straw could also produce milk. But that is not possible. And the same straw given to human female also cannot produce milk. That is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita's statement that only under superior orders does anything takes place. Matter itself has no power to produce independently. The conclusion, therefore, is that matter, which has no self-knowledge, cannot be the cause of the material creation. The ultimate creator is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If matter were accepted as the original cause of creation, all the authorized scriptures in the world would be useless, for in every scripture, especially the personality of Godhead, is said to be the ultimate creator, without information and without variety, and was in a state of complete suspension like a dream. Everything was darkness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then entered the universal space, and although he is invisible, he created the visible cosmic manifestation in the material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not manifested by his personal presence, but the presence of the cosmic manifestation in different varieties is the proof that everything has been created under his direction. He entered the universe with all creative potencies, and thus he removed the darkness of the unlimited space. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described to be transcendental, very subtle, eternal, all-pervading, inconceivable, and therefore non-manifested to the material senses of a conditioned living creature. He desired to expand himself into many living entities, and with such a desire, he first created a vast expanse of water within the universal space and then impregnated that water with living entities. By that process of impregnation, a massive body appeared blazing like 1,000 suns, and in that body was the first creative principle, Brahma. So Lord, he just has to glance at the material nature, and that's it. Creation takes place. It's not like we see here among our human beings and other living entities. That kind of creation, it doesn't take place. I just wanted to give you a recap for that. So the first creative principle, Brahma, he comes, and we know Brahma comes from the navel of Lord Vishnu, from the lotus flower. Brahma appears. The great Parashar Rishi has confirmed this in the Vishnu Puran. He said that the cosmic manifestation visible to us is produced from Lord Vishnu and sustained under his protection. He is the principal maintainer and the destroyer of the universal form. This cosmic manifestation is one of the diverse energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a spider secretes saliva and weaves a web by its own movements, but at the end winds up the web within its body, so Lord Vishnu produces this cosmic manifestation from his transcendental body, and at the end winds it up within himself. All the great sages of the Vedic understanding have accepted that Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original creator. It is sometimes claimed that the impersonal speculations of great philosophers are meant for the advancement of knowledge without religious ritualistic principles, but the ritualistic principles are actually meant for the advancement of spiritual knowledge. By performance of religious rituals, one ultimately reaches the supreme goal of knowledge by understanding that Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the cause of everything. It is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that even those who are advocates of knowledge alone, without any ritualistic process, advance in knowledge after many lifetimes of speculation, and thus come to the conclusion that Vasudeva is the supreme cause of everything that be. As a result of this achievement of the goal of life, such an advanced learned scholar or philosopher surrenders into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious ritualistic performers are actually meant to cleanse the contaminated mind in the material world, and the special feature of this age of Kali is that one can easily execute the process of cleansing the mind of contamination by chanting the holy names of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like we're saying, this is the 16-syllable mantra. Hare here is the internal potency of Krishna, Radharani, and when we say Hare Rama, Hare is the internal potency of, we can say, Ramchandraji, which is Sita, because it's the same in different yugas. It appeared as different incarnations, and some call Rama as Balram as well. A Vedic injunction states, Sarva Veda Yat Padam Amananti, which is from Katha Upanishad 1.2.15. All Vedic knowledge is searching after the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, one Vedic injunction states, Narayana Para Veda. The Vedas are meant for understanding Narayan, the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita also confirms, Vedesh cha sarver aham eva vedyah. By all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. Therefore, the main purpose of understanding the Vedas, performing Vedic sacrifices and speculating on the Vedanta Sutra is to understand Krishna. Accepting the impersonalist view of voidness or the non-existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead negates all study of the Vedas. Impersonal speculation aims at disproving the conclusion of the Vedas or standard scriptures. As you know, impersonal are those, they are called Mayavadi in Hindi, and they don't consider God to be a person. They consider the light coming from the body of God. That's it. That is their goal. That is their highest goal to achieve. They don't want to be serving the God as a person. They just believe in the impersonal aspect of Lord's body, which is the light coming from his body, which is called Brahma Jyoti. And what two people will do there? They'll be just hanging in the light after finishing this journey of their life, if they want to be going to the Brahma Jyoti. But no, as devotees of Lord, our highest aim is to, we don't care how many lifetimes it takes for us, but we want to be going back to Godhead, to go and serve the God in his ultimate abode. From there, we don't have to come back again into the this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, of course, in the middle. Since the speculation of the impersonalists does not follow the principles of Vedas, their conclusion must be considered to be against the Vedic principles. Anything not supported by the Vedic principles must be considered imaginary and lacking in standard proof. Therefore, no impersonalist explanation of any Vedic literature can be accepted. Now, this is the final paragraph of today's reading. If one tries to nullify the conclusions of the Vedas by accepting an unauthorized scripture or so-called scripture, it will be very hard for him to come to the right conclusion about the absolute truth, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The system for adjusting two contradictory scriptures is to refer to the Vedas, for references from the Vedas are accepted as final judgments. When we refer to the particular scripture, it must be authorized, and for this authority, it must strictly follow the Vedic injunctions. If someone presents an alternative doctrine, he himself has manufactured that doctrine will prove itself useless. For any doctrine that tries to prove that Vedic evidence is meaningless immediately proves itself meaningless. The followers of the Vedas unanimously accept the authority of Manu and Parashar in the disciplic succession. Their statements, however, do not support the atheistic Kapila. Mind you, there was two Kapilas. One was the Kapila, the son of Devahuti and Kardamamuni, and there was another Kapila, which was the atheistic Kapila. Because the Kapila mentioned in the Vedas is a different Kapila, the son of Kardam and Devahuti, like I just said. The atheist Kapila is a descendant of dynasty of Agni and is one of the conditioned souls. But the Kapila, who is the son of Kardam Muni, is accepted as an incarnation of God himself, which is Vasudev. The Padma Puran gives evidence that Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev takes birth in the incarnation of Kapila, and by his expansion, the theistic Sankhya philosophy teaches all the demigods and Brahmana of the name Asuri. In the doctrine of the atheist Kapila, there are many statements directly against the Vedic principles. The atheist Kapila does not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says that the living entity is himself the Supreme Lord and that no one is greater than him. His conceptions of so-called conditioned and liberated life are materialistic, and he refuses to accept the importance of immortal time. All such statements are against the principles of the Vedanta Sutra. So this was a very long paper because verses 14 and 15 of the 6th chapter they were given in the same purport. So thank you for joining. No wonder they say that in Gaudiya Vaishnavism that Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postdoctoral study. Bhagavad Gita is the Bhagavad Gita is the undergraduate study, Bhagavatam is the graduate, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study. And Bhagavad Gita is how we start our study. Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedas and all the Upanishads, which is dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, as we all know. And Bhagavad Gita was told to Arjuna just before the Kali Yuga, because Krishna knew that with the beginning of Kali Yuga, the jivas are going to become more and more weak. In Satyug, they were more strong. In Dwapar, in Treta, they were lesser stronger than the Satyug, and in Dwapar, they were less. And now in the fourth, where among the four legs of Dharma, only one leg of Dharma is left. And people are very weak. They haven't got that much intelligence. They haven't got that much lifespan. They haven't got that much strength or the means. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken for all of us. Bhagavad Gita is like manual for all of us, like we get manual with each and every machine or any gadget we buy. And Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, is actually the pastimes of the Lord with his devotees. And Bhagavatam also teaches us so many things. So Bhagavad Gita is the undergraduate study. Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is the postgraduate, is the graduate study, and this Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is divided into three parts: Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Anta Lila of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 plus years ago in West Bengal, which is Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Who is Srimati Radharani? She is the internal potency of Krishna, and he wanted to see that what does Srimati Radharani gets in serving him, because she's always blissed out. And so he came in the mood of his devotee to taste that relish that taste. God is Atmaram. God is complete in himself. He does not need anything. He is fully satisfied. He can be smallest than the small and biggest than the bigger. Like we were just talking about the super soul. Super soul is present in the tiniest of the living entity, and the super soul is present in the biggest of the gorillas, or whichever is the biggest living creature. And all the trees, everything has got soul. Krishna is fully satisfied. He is enjoying in his abode up there in the spiritual sky in Golok Vrindavan. The Krishna, the incarnations which come here, they are plenary expansions of his. Whether it is Lord Ram, Lord Krishna who appeared in Vrindavan, it's not that Krishna leaves his final abode there and comes there. His plenary expansions, they come here. And Krishna will create any kind of lila, any kind of pastimes he wants to enjoy with. When he wants to have some fight, he will have fight with the demons. When he wants to have a enjoyment with his most eternal servants, which are the gopis, then he will do the rasa dance with them. And who were these gopis? These gopis in the Treta Yuga were the rishis who met Lord Ram and Lakshman when they were going with their teacher in the jungles, and they wanted to marry Lord Ram. Lord Ram says, no, that in this incarnation I have got the I'm going to be Maryada Purushottam and only going to be one Patni person. So when I come back as Krishna in Dwapar, then I will fulfill your desires. So these gopis are none other than those incarnation of those sadhus. And as we know, the principal Ashtasakhis who are always there around Krishna in the Shweta Dweep, in the spiritual sky where Krishna's abode is. sorry, in the spiritual sky. So Shvetadweep is in the Karan ocean, where the Karanodakshai ocean, Karanodakshai is, Vishnu is. The Golok Vrindavan, the topmost place where Krishna resides, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's 8 principal Sakhis. And among those 8 principal Sakhis, there are 2 principal Sakhis who are very important, Lalita and Vishaka. And then among all those, the one most important is Srimati Radharani. And who is Srimati Radharani? Srimati Radharani is part of Krishna himself. It's not that Krishna needs a separate lady to enjoy. Whatever we see in this world is perverted form of whatever leelas are up there. So we see and we understand everything as it is here. And like I was saying in the reading, that when this creation is started, the Lord just glances and that's it. The creation takes place. And breathing in, breathing out, all the universes are created. Breathing in, when Lord will breathe in, all the creation goes back, because that the scale of time is different to our material time scale. And our universe is just like a mustard seed in a bag of mustard seeds. So who are we actually in the whole scheme of things? We are nothing. And we sometimes get so much worried and so much engrossed in our little situations. And though we know that there is a start and end to this particular life journey of ours, but our souls are endless. They're going to be going round and round in the circles, because at the end of the day, the aim of our souls is to serve the Lord. Because we have fallen down, we refuse to. God has always given us free will, and we didn't want to serve Him there, so we have come into this world as humans, and in only this form as human we can do bhakti. We have to balance the two different parts of our existence, the material life and the spiritual life. God is not saying that just do the bhakti and don't look after the spiritual material life, because of course we will have to make sure that if we are grihasthas, we earn money, we do our duties, we look after the families. And for a grihastha's life is actually more demanding. A grihastha has to look after the brahmacharis and the sannyasis, because they are dependent on us in the temple, or yeah. So it's a beautiful arrangement Lord has given us, and whatever we are getting in this life, it is all due to our own desires and all due to our past karmas, and we have to just tolerate. We should try. If we can change something, fine. If we can't change that, what we have to do is just to bear, because we remember that this is how the world is. Everybody is different. Everybody is in their particular type of body or particular type of circumstances. It's all due to our past karmas. And we should try to get out of this entanglement. The more and more we understand this whole, the jugglery. It seems like jugglery in the beginning. There's the spiritual knowledge. But once we have read the Bhagavad Gita, we understand. If you can't read the whole Bhagavad Gita, there is 108 important verses which you can go through from first chapter to the 18th chapter. It is so nicely given by Lord to us on a plate, because everyone is looking for this answer, that why we have come here. Because we all have served Krishna once upon a time, and that is what our souls are hankering for. Because we all want to serve somebody. This is the nature of the soul. We are either serving our family, our children, our nation. If we are working for somebody, we are serving under them because we want to serve. So Krishna says, do this. You have to do this because you have to look after your material body. You have to eat, you need a roof over your head, you need clothing, you need some security for the rainy day. But don't forget the ultimate hunger, which is the hunger of the soul, which is to serve the Supreme, to understand the Supreme, to understand the real purpose of our existence and why we are here. And once we understand that, we will try not to get ourselves bound under any more karmas, because whatever we are doing now, if our actions are hurting somebody, or if our actions are causing some distress to somebody or something, that is going to be binding us to the karma. And how does karma operates? Whatever we had done in the past lives, God knows how many lives we have been, could be millions, billions, only, and how many different species we have been through, only Lord knows. So as a human species, in the human body, this is our ultimate chance to start the bhakti and hear from the authoritative sources, not just anywhere, hear from the sources, which book, which Veda, which scriptures the knowledge is coming from. They are giving you the reference, just like when you're reading in the schools and colleges, in the universities, you have to give the reference easily, to be easily understood, purports in such simple English. And if we can't understand that, we can listen from somebody who can explain them to us, or listen to classes. There are tons of classes, and there are so many small books Prabhupada has written about everything. For example, for Bhagavatam, and not everybody has got the time to read the whole 10 cantos of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has got 18,000 verses. Bhagavad Gita has 700. So Bhagavad Gita, I have said to you, you can just read the 108 most important verses. That will explain to you everything. And for the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada wrote Krishna book, which is on the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. Because if you're reading the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, it's said that you should start reading from the first canto and then gradually progress to the 12th canto. But Prabhupada knew that people of Kali Yuga are short of time, some are short of attention span, or whatever circumstances they are. Some might be really in that kind of age that they haven't got that much time left to go through everything. So Krishna book is there based on Canto 10. And I have put the Krishna book also in the channel, on the YouTube channel, and you can listen to them. And it is said before, that is Canto 10 is all, Bhagavatam Canto 10 is all about the pastimes of Krishna when Krishna came in, was born in Vrindavan, lived in Vrindavan, Vraja, Mathura, then Dwarika. So all these pastimes are there. So thank you for joining, and I hope that you will make most of this lifetime in understanding. Do your duties, do your material duties, but please don't just, like Prabhupada always said in one of his analogies, that don't just worry for the dress of a drowning man. You should be worrying for the man who is drowning. You have to save the person. You don't just worry for the dress of the drowning man. You don't just have to save the dress of the drowning man. You're worrying for the person. So similarly, we are more worried for our souls, because we know our bodies are changing every day. Since we were born to now, we are completely different. Every 7 years the body is changing. But the soul is eternally happy. It's Satchidanand, because it's part of Lord. It's always eternal. It's happy, and it's truthful. It's got those attributes, and Lord has given us the free will. So make most of your time, most of your hours in the day and try to balance both the spiritual and the material life nicely. All you have to do is bring Krishna or your Lord in the middle of your life. So when you are looking after your home, it is Lord's home. It's like your temple. Your kids, your relationships, your family members, you just think that they are the responsibilities given by the Lord to me. So your behavior, how you behave with them, how you do your responsibilities will be so easy, and you'll be trying your best to give them all the knowledge you have got on the spiritual side and the material side as well. So thank you for joining again. It's been a long reading. I can see Shweta has joined us today. Thank you, Shweta. Hariam Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.